Hey there, Andre the Impulsive Thinker. This episode is part two of a conversation I had with Mark Fujiwara. So if you missed part one, go back and start there before continuing. Before we get started, I just wanted to give you a trigger warning. This episode, we do talk about suicide, suicidal thoughts, and self harm. If you're not comfortable with this topic, I'd recommend that you don't listen to this episode, and I respect that. And if you are in crisis and you need help and you have suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self harm, please reach out to your local suicide hotlines or reach out to a friend.
Something that I can completely relate is that this time around, actually, and I've gone through this just recently too, in terms of doing things differently coming out of trauma. This time around, you said something that pretty much almost brings tears in my eyes is the fact that your girls and your wife, they notice, they
Yeah.
notice, and you're closer to them. You probably feel this great energy. Tell me about that because now you not only have the process, but you have the why when you're in that moment. And a lot of listeners now, like me, can feel it.
Well, I think I just wrote something down earlier today. I forget exactly what, but it's because since I'm now allowing myself to receive gratitude and
Yes.
friendships,
Yes.
that's reciprocated. Since I'm allowing to accept it, that's coming out of me as well. And then people can be the right people around you will connect closer because a lot of people told me I had a lot of standoffish energy. I was social. I am social. People knew I was a nice person, but I still had the standoff energy. So they would always stay at a distance. But that's my internal self protecting me, keeping that comfort level. Stay in this bubble, outside my bubble, where I can see you, so I can protect myself in case.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm letting people in more because I got more respect for myself. I think that has a lot to do with it. So if you're liking yourself, more people will like you.
Yeah.
It's a weird way of thinking, but it's true. Right? Why didn't no one, everyone like me in the past? As everyone was an idiot. No, you didn't like yourself. Therefore, people didn't really like you or didn't want to approach you because a lot of people actually probably couldn't figure out how to help you. How did one guy actually tell me? Is I didn't know how to help you because you wouldn't let me close.
I think um, the right people start like
Showing up.
showing up and liking you when you like
Be-
yourself.
right. But because I'm also allowing myself to see those people
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's powerful right there. That's also part of the process of because right now you're different, and I mean that in the best
Mm-hmm.
possible way. We've had many conversations like this, and I feel like there's confidence. There's confidence that your true, authentic self
Yeah.
is the one you want to put forth and the way you want to show up. Um, it's very transformational here too.
Mm-hmm.
That fact, which is, and then you've touched upon something as well, which is as you're getting towards liking yourself, and I should say, as you're getting towards liking your true self,
Yes.
right? Um, you said something where because I feel the same way about you, Andre, which is, I mean, there's a reason why I leave videos and love when you text message me and love these conversations. Is that is that not only there's a high level of trust, but as you know, I keep track of my energy,
Mm-hmm.
and I always want to be very intentional. And this is where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Right now, which is that the people that give you energy after your interaction with them is who you're hanging out with, and that's why I like hanging out with you every single time, whatever we talk about. Like, for example, yeah, you can call me 24/7. I know you know that. Now, if you were to call me 24/7 and whatever that is, right? From the start to the end, you're always going to give me energy.
Yeah.
Whether it's I need help or whether it's let me celebrate, whatever that is, or just shooting the breeze, So I feel like you're going in that direction, which has something, because as we've been talking recently, it's so for example, the people that you don't need to surround yourself are no longer with your company,
Right.
right?
That was the negative energy. Yep.
Negative energy removed, but you're also doing it on the other side, which is like now you're in this receivership mode of accepting the right people coming into your life to give you more energy. This is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And to end this off, and the last point I want to make on this, you just triggered it. I think another thing that I did, and I think this really helped me get out of the funk, was this happened, I said, for a reason. What is the lesson? What is the reason? And at the time, I couldn't figure it out, but I started to look for the learning and the lesson. And then it turned out was I just completely, in the way the universe has said, no, that's it. Complete washout. You're getting rid of everyone in the company. Why? Why? Well, you know what? It was negative energy. Now I've got new people in the company, and it's 10 times, 1,000 times better mental energy and positive energy. Like they get me. So it was a complete, the universe was saying, no, we're clearing the house because this is not good for you. This is what you need to do with the right people now, and go for it. And I think when I stopped to say, what is my lesson? Because I also look back going, wait a minute, I've had major upheavals in the past. Then I correlated that when those happened, those were my greatest success times. That was the trough before my massive peaks.
Exactly.
So, but now I really want to work on keeping those troughs and peaks a little tighter. But it was me ignoring the universe for 5 years as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those were my big takeaways of all this. Well, what did you get out of this?
Well, it's clarification that it's so crucial to have this big awareness when you're in the situation. I feel like this is what I'm going through now, Andre. I've had many series of these massive panic attacks, and I've also had changes happening, some for good, some for bad, and I'm really honing in on a relationship with my kids and Amy, and so I'm very intentional about my energy. But you just hit something right here, because I feel like in my world, and maybe a lot of listeners and yourself as well, the way that we deal trauma for our mental health is so crucial. Is so crucial
Yeah.
because I've dealt trauma the wrong way, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting here down in my office thinking about how I'm gonna take my own life, or I show up for my kids and my wife Amy in a way that is distant,
Yeah.
and with short fuse. Um, but you touch upon a lot of different things here. It's like feel the feeling, be aware of what's happening, and one thing that you said was that you became grateful, right? And the sooner that you could become grateful and realize what you have instead of what you just lost, I think that right there is crucial. That right there for me now, when I face these traumatic incidents or triggers, will lead me down to the road in terms of that next step, which is what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Okay, now you have what you need. What action are you going to take? And action means different things. Action means, well, I'm going to start hiring. I'm going to classify my customers in such a way. The big action that you took, which is a huge takeaway for me, is that conscious downtime restoration.
Yeah.
By the way, my therapist has been encouraging me to do, which is like, don't say, oh, I'm going to go run 50 miles to train for this ultra marathon. It's like, no, you're going to do whatever your heart desires, right?
Yeah.
So like you drove out to Lake Huron, and you weren't like, okay, I'm going to sit in my car, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It was just like exactly what you wanted to do on your birthday.
And exactly
So,
what I needed
what you
as
needed
well.
too.
Yeah.
So what I got out of it is I need more intentional, not 30-minute increments, but actually days or several hours at least, because that way I can show up for people like you, people in my world, in my masterminds. I can show up for my family in such a way where I'm discovering now that if I'm high energy, I show up as the best dad, the best husband when I go up every day at 5 o'clock. So
Yeah.
huge lessons there. I appreciate you.
Yeah. And for the listeners, people like Mark and I, this is one skill I've really learned lately, Mark, is people like Mark and I, we've admitted we needed work. We had to look and take seriously our mental health. We are the courageous, strong people. So if you're thinking you're having a mental health condition or, challenge and you're depressed, you're anxiety, you can't breathe, there's nothing wrong with it. It happens. If people say they don't suffer from it, they're bullshitters, they're liars. It's just they probably are really good at hiding it or they don't want it to be seen. And that is even more detrimental. So if you take ownership and say, hey, this ain't right, I don't feel right, go get help. Start by talking to a close friend. And if they want to listen and not lecture you and just hear you, that's a great start. Work with a therapist. And what I've discovered and talking with Mark as well, shit, man, all this stuff is because of past trauma. Big trauma, small trauma, doesn't matter. It's shit from your childhood that you're dealing with right now. And your brain is done a maladaptive system. That's it. It's nothing wrong with you. It's just shit that happened in the past. You had no control.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So don't take ownership of it. Figure it out and work. Now you've got a vocabulary. You understand it now. It's not an excuse. It's an understanding. And that's, I think if it wasn't for that, that's the only reason I can work with this, because now I know my triggers and where it stems from. I can start catching it. Like as I'm being abandoned. Christ, that's it. I'm done again. No, that's the little Andre starting to come up to protect me. And it's like, no, dude, just give me a sec. All right. Yes, I am being abandoned, but I'm still safe. I don't have to fight for my life right now. I'm good. I can make this work. But that's because it's awareness and working the true honest work. A lot of stuff I had to admit to myself. Was hard to admit, but it comes, they all say to start dealing with pain, you have to feel the pain again. To come out. I don't know if your therapist said that, but that's very important. It's not easy work, but if you can do it and you are doing it, my God, I got a lot of respect for you. A lot of respect for you if you're starting to go down this journey, because in the end, I'll tell you, the experience with Mark, us talking for the last 2 years, we're way, way better people than we were before. And we like ourselves a lot more and life's a lot more fun. Because I'm not dealing with all this shit. I don't know if that's a fair statement for you too, Mark, but that's how I feel.
Absolutely. And, you touched upon something. This is to the listeners here. I kept my depression, ADHD, everything inside, anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts. I'm 55 right now. I kept it in for about 47 years.
Yeah.
Right. And I battled. And the moment I talked to somebody, and that's that's step one right there.
Yeah.
I have told probably, I don't know, thousands of people about my mental health struggles. And not one has ever said, oh, you're full of shit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has responded in a compassionate manner.
And actually thanked you for talking about it, because they start talking about themselves.
They start talking about themselves. And so I'm a part of a lot of groups, and I was just in a men's group that was just beautiful. And we got up and we said something that we're excited about, and that what's a challenge. And so I got right up, Andre, and just said, a few days ago, I had the most massive panic attacks. I'm very overwhelmed. And actually I've thought about suicide over the last several days. Whoa. Okay. So every single one of those people in that room, which is, the right people in the room, said, I got you, man. I got you. I can relate. And all of a sudden, what does that do actually? Because I think listeners, you're going to be surprised. The person that I confided in first was my cousin, who I thought was this strong, tough as nails, never got sick kind of individual. But she told me she suffered from the same things I did: depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, panic attacks, and ADHD. So that is the first step. And then you go down that road, like you said. You find the therapist, you get on the right trend. You start building a community, actually, just by talking about this. You start building a community. you know, where you and I have those 24/7 friends. You're my 24/7 friend,
Yeah.
right? Vice versa. That's what will happen. But it just starts with admitting or having that conversation with somebody that you trust.
And there's no magic cure or pill.
No,
Doesn't matter what
absolutely
condition.
not.
It's bullshit if you think it's one done, you know, it's a constant struggle. It's always going to come. The triggers are there, right? It was a protection mechanism by your brain. It's a neurological thing. So it's always going to be there. You can never get rid of it, is what I've learned. But we can tamp it down, we can control it or lessen the noise as one. And for me, was to let little Andre go off and play like he never could as a kid,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. That's so right. That's
But
so
I
right.
was holding on to him for so long as a selfish asshole because I needed that. I felt I needed that protection still. And
Right.
when I
And that's,
realized that, it's like,
yes,
go play, man. I don't
that's
need
right.
you anymore. But stay
That's right.
close. You never know. But that was a big change when I figured that out last November.
Kind of the same time, I realized that little Mark was always here to protect me,
Yeah.
right? Little Mark couldn't have fun. Little Mark had to protect me, and yeah, in some cases, thank you, but in a lot of cases, it did a lot of harm. Poor little Mark, right?
Yeah.
And
He
that's
didn't know you were safe anymore.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like this is why I want to have these kind of conversations. I know a lot of listeners, you're hearing a lot of yourselves in this conversation. If you're talking to someone, great. If you're not, please do so. I'm here. Reach out. You got my email. But this is very important, especially as entrepreneurs. Society's saying we're tough as nails. We can take care of everything. You know what? I was telling my daughter about this and why I needed to go on my birthday. And she said, why are you here? Are you upset with us? I said, no, I really got to go. I need this break because work has been very, very hard. And she didn't even know what was going on. I thought she did. So I explained to her, she goes, wow, you're really good at hiding that stuff.
Mm,
So I took that as a compliment because I wasn't bringing it home.
yeah.
But entrepreneurs were really good to just make it because we just get we get the shit done.
Right.
But a lot of people don't think it looks easy, but they don't know what's going on internally. And that's what's killing us, right? That's where the people get the suicidal thoughts, the anxiety, because everyone thinks it's easy and you're succeeding, but it's at our cost. And we can't do that. And get your community, reach out to people. Like one guy, he came out on a mass text and said, hey guys, I just lost like the 6-figure contract was supposed to be for the next 2 years. It's gone. So 2/3 of my revenue is gone. What the hell? Right. Like now he's starting to feel anxiety about what to do next. And then slowly I'm starting to feel depressed. He reached out. All of us kind of called him over the next day or so. We called him to make sure he was okay. Right.
Mm,
He was, if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not the only one who's suffered this way or has suffered the same type of thing. Maybe the situations in the instances is unique to you, but the overall feeling, everyone has felt it somehow, somewhere in the entrepreneurial world. We all have your back. We get it. We don't have to explain it. We get it. That's why I talk with you, Mark, is that, yeah, oh, geez, I get it. I really get it. I feel you.
And something they talk in 12 step, which is, you call your sponsor,
Yeah.
and the sponsor will typically say this, and I feel it as well, which is when you call your sponsor, you think they're giving you help. You think that call is helping you.
Mm-hmm.
Every single sponsor says it's helping them just as much, if not
Yeah.
more. So think about that, listeners. Think about the fact that when you reach out to someone who's a friend or a family member, think about that. And I feel this in my own life. When I tell people about my struggles, it enlivens people.
Yeah.
It actually does a lot of good for them. So it's uncomfortable. I get it. But if you think along those lines, is that when you share something like that with someone you care about, it's doing a lot of good for them and your relationship too. And that is the first step. And by the way, you just mentioned something, Andre, which is sometimes people feel more comfortable with people that aren't family. They don't know well in terms of telling their story. And
Yeah.
I get that. So that's where you and I come in. That's
Mhm.
where the people that are out there that are sharing their mental health struggles, you give us a call. That's that's the first step, right? Then it's like now you feel comfortable in sharing it with your spouse or your partner or your child or a family member.
Yeah. And then the other thing to do too, if you know someone's having some mental health challenges, just reach out and say, "Hey, I'm checking in. How are you?" That's it. We're not looking to be saved. We just need to be, getting that text that's saying, "Hey, how are things?" I mean, that lightens you up, right? Someone's there who
Yes,
cares,
exactly.
right?
I just left one of those this morning
Yeah.
actually. It's like I noticed something, right? It was like hanging out
Yeah.
with this group, and I'm like, hey man, I usually just say, hey, how's your heart today? How's your
Yeah.
heart? How's your head? How are you really doing?
Wow. Mark, we can go on. This is a longer episode, but I'm going to keep it this long because this is very great information and takeaways. And in the end, give yourself permission to take mental health breaks, be intentional, put things on hold for you. You got to put yourself first on this because then everyone else will be taken care of around you. And do you give yourself intentional mental health breaks? I know that's what saved me over the last few months. So, brother, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time on this.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Keep this up.
And sorry,
Keep this up.
keep this
Keep
up.
this
Yeah,
up.
you
Yeah.
too. And especially with your Ikigai charitable organization. We'll have information in the show notes. Mark, thanks again, brother. And to you, the listeners, thanks for learning with me. Take care.